Our Winchester athletic history book is fat with success stories. One of the best belongs to our 1956 cross-country team. A bunch of hard-running, dedicated athletes who did what no other high school cross-country team in Massachusetts or anywhere else in New England ever did. They won consecutive New England titles. Indeed, a unique feat, never done before 1956, never matched since. Before I tell you that story, though, let me point out that running cross-country ain't easy business. It's solitary. You against the trail, you against the clock, you against the pains that gnaw at your legs. And when you close in on the finish line, it's you against the other guy who desperately wants to be there ahead of you. At the finish line, you're never inside a vast stadium with neatly trimmed grass. There are no cheerleaders, no loudspeakers, no fans chanting your name. The only caring folks are your coach, your teammates, and perhaps your parents. What's worse, there's never the sweet smell of hot dogs or popcorn hanging heavy in the air. The champions of 1956, like all Harriers before them, labored in anonymity. Most of that season was spent training out in the fells in that underdeveloped countryside on the fringes of Highland Avenue and South Border Road, in the woods with winding trails, trees, and bushes, even some four-legged critters and poison ivy. It truly was athletic life in the pucker brush. It has to be noted here that the 1955 cross-country team, by winning Winchester's first New England title, set the stage for the boys of 1956 to write their stunning historical chapter. That team from 1955 should never be forgotten and richly deserves a laudatory salute for winning the first of the back-to-back championships. A year later, our 1956 cross-country team ironically wasn't expected to collect any postseason hardware nor any accolades at all. Those who underestimated indeed were foolhardy. In the end, Winchester at 6-0 was undefeated in dual meet competition. Then, with cool precision, the team won two important titles. First, the Pilgrim League divisional crown, followed by the Massachusetts Class C title. That primed them for their greatest moment, and they eagerly headed north to Lewiston, Maine for the November gathering of ambitious cross-country runners, all of them seeking that coveted New England title. It was on a Saturday, and 168 runners were in the field. In the end, Winchester not only owned the title, the team also posted a hallmark score that still snugly resides in the record book, a winning score of 59. Never before nor since has a team won by such a low score. As you may or may not know, in cross country, the lowest score wins. Each team earns points based on a runner's order of finish. In the New England meet, only 7 runners were allowed to compete for each school, and only the top 5 finishes were counted in the scoring. So in the field of 168 that day, Winchester had finishes in the positions of 3, 8, 10, 18, and 20 for the record-setting score of 59. It truly was an outstanding achievement, and it gave us 3 major cross-country titles in one season. In racetrack parlance, it's called a Triple Crown, indeed a rare occurrence in any sport at any time. The team captain that day was senior Kenny Brown, a varsity veteran of 2 previous seasons. In the field of 168, he finished 3rd, a glorious end to a stunning season. In addition to Captain Ken, the full team of 12 was comprised of seniors Harold Ekstrom, Mike Callahan, Howie Bates, and Quentin Roberts. 5 runners were juniors: Charlie Clifton, Bill Emerson, the late Danny O'Connell, Charlie O'Connor, and the late Don Seaver. And 2 sophomores, Robin Carlson and Bill Salmon, rounded out the varsity 12. The 2 managers that season were seniors Don Withers, and Al Doherty. Together they comprised a milestone bunch who fashioned a first that to this day remains unduplicated in the annals of Massachusetts and New England schoolboy athletics. A note here, too, needs to be had about late coach Tom Morse, who in 2005 was posthumously inducted into this Hall of Fame. Tom was affectionately embraced by the entire Winchester student body and truly was loved by all of the cross-country runners who over many years were in his charge. Coach Tom and his 12 runners from 1956 truly brought great praise, honor, and recognition to our beloved school and town. Give them all a big round of applause. And for all of them who tonight are in this room, go offer each man a hearty handshake and pat him on the back for being such a high achiever.
Good evening. It is my distinct pleasure to present Coach Suzanne Onso for induction into Winchester Sports Foundation Hall of Fame. Coach Onso was an integral part of establishing girls lacrosse in Winchester High School. 1994 was the first season, and Coach Onso was the junior varsity coach. They had one win, well, actually a tie that year against Sandwich. From the very next year to the present, Coach Onso has been the varsity coach. Her team has qualified for the state tournament every season under her leadership. They have won the Middlesex League Championship every year since girls lacrosse was added to that league in 2005. There have been several state semifinal and final appearances, with that elusive D2 state championship finally coming in 2008. That year, Coach Onso was named Boston Globe Coach of the Year for the second time in her career. Coach Onso demands a lot of her athletes. They must be positive role models, lead by example, and maintain high standards both in the classroom and on the field. Under her strong leadership, her players always strive for excellence with focused determination. Her athletes understand it is a privilege to play for Winchester High School and to represent their community. Coach Onso is involved in her entire program, as well as the Winchester Youth Lacrosse program that she established back in 1997. She takes her responsibilities as a head coach very seriously and works extremely hard to maintain the high standards that she has established. She expects nothing less from her players. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Onso.
Winchester High School Hall of Fame inductee, May 6, 2011, Vern J. Slack, class of 1949. It is an honor for me to introduce a most deserving inductee to the Winchester Hall of Fame, Vern Slack. Vern was a quiet, easygoing guy whose competitiveness only showed on the field, the diamond or the ice. He was a three-sport athlete at Winchester High: football, baseball, and hockey, a rare accomplishment, and even more so now. Football. Vern played left end, had exceptionally good speed and good hands, one of the fastest guys on the team, a team that included Sammy Bellino, Paul Amico, and Al Splisser among its members. Captain of the varsity football team, 1948. One of the top players on the 1946 state championship team, Class C title. His 6'3" frame and good hands made him a popular target, and he surprised many an opponent with his accurate passing game. In the opening game of the 1948 season against Lexington, with a score 20-0, Captain Slack decided to play all the positions. After a number of great catches and a touchdown, he kicked off to Lexington. and then tackled the return player at midfield. Coach Knowlton gave serious thought to putting its subs at that point before Vern started playing on the front four. During the Reading football game, Vern started what remains the longest recorded play in Winchester High School history, 109 yards. Vern passed from behind the goal line to Sammy Bolito, who ran 75 yards for the touchdown, the season's most spectacular play. His athleticism and catching prowess was instrumental in every game. In the Lexington game, he caught passes to set up all 3 T's in a Winchester High School victory. At Winthrop, he caught 2 D passes in Winchester's 19-6 victory. Baseball. Captain his senior year under Coach Ted Bartlett, 3-year varsity letterman. Vern was an outstanding center fielder, a dependable hitter, and an excellent pitcher. His 6'3" frame intimidated more than a few batters. Named Globe All-Scholastic 1949 after an undefeated season, 10-0, he had 4 2-hitters. Middlesex League Championship team record of 15-2. Vern's record 8 wins and 8 starts. And another victory against Woburn, which was aiming for its 13th win, Vern held them to 4 scattered hits in a 3-1 Winchester win. Woburn games always brought out his best in an 8-7 Winchester win. Vern hit a triple with 2 men on to break up a 13-inning slugfest. He pitched a 1-hitter against Reading in his first year on the mound, Winchester's 3, Reading 1. In the same game, he opened the 8th with a hit that stole a base and scored. Vern was a Globe All-Star in 1948, batting average .297. He received a letter of interest from the Chicago White Sox on March 8, 1949. In hockey, I had the pleasure of playing hockey with Vern. As captain of the team, I appreciated his hard work, competitiveness, and team spirit. Vern had time for the 4th sport. He could have been a championship sprinter. I couldn't close without mentioning that Vern was not only named the best athlete by his peers in the 1949 Winchester High School yearbook, he was the best dancer. Even more importantly, most romantic. Congratulations, my friend. You deserve it.
It is my pleasure to introduce Bill LaMarche, class of 1960 ice hockey, into the Winchester Sports Foundation Hall of Fame. Bill grew up on Highland Avenue in Winchester, the son of Paul and Barbara LaMarche. Bill also played baseball as a youngster through Little League and Babe Ruth League. He later played on the Winchester High School baseball team. His main sport was ice hockey, where Bill excelled from an early age. At age 12, Bill took to hockey in the Lynn Pee Wee program on the first team coached by the highly successful Scott Perot, and learned at the Lynn Hockey School under Red Foot, the Lynn English coach, and Herb Pickering, the Beverly High coach. Winchester Hall of Fame coach Frank Finnegan described Bill as a fast, aggressive skater, excellent stick handler, and brilliant playmaker, a great penalty killer, scoring 5 goals with his team shorthanded. Bill also registered the hat trick 5 times, always in position, a great hustler, a good back checker, a leader and team player. Bill led the North Shore League in scoring his junior year with 22 goals and 12 assists for 34 points. His senior year, Bill led the newly formed Middlesex League with such powerful teams as Belmont, Melrose, Wakefield, and Watertown. He led the league with 30 goals and 14 assists, pacing Winchester to the league crown and to the semifinals of the state hockey tourney. The same year, he was named first team Boston Herald All-Scholastic. At a recent reunion of his class of 1960, over 80 classmates signed a petition for Bill's induction into the Sports Hall of Fame. After graduation, Bill was awarded a hockey scholarship to Harvard University, where Bill played for Cooney Weiland on some of the best teams in Eastern hockey. After that, his line was Ike Iconics, Tim Taylor, and Bill LaMarche was one of the stellar lines in Eastern hockey.
Good evening. My name is Paul Manganaro, and I am a member of the Winchester Sports Foundation Hall of Fame Committee. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Barbara Morton to the 2011 Hall of Fame class. Barbara is a 1965 graduate of Winchester High School. As a student athlete at WHS, she excelled as a three-sport athlete. During the fall season, she was a center half on the field hockey team, where she was a two-year varsity letter winner. After the Thanksgiving break, Barbara turned in the field hockey stick and turned her attention and talents towards the basketball court, where in one game against Newton, she scored 27 of her team's 46 points. She earned 3 varsity letters in basketball and was a valuable member of 2 undefeated teams, as well as the captain of the 1965 squad. When the green grass replaced the snow in New England, Barbara moved to the softball diamond. She was an outstanding shortstop, earning 3 varsity letters, and was elected captain her senior year. As valuable as Barbara Morton was to our school community on the field, her involvement and achievements off the field were just as impressive. She was a member of the Winchester High School Philosophy Club, as well as a National Honor Society member. And for those of you that know her nephew, J.R. Morton, class of 1987, you know being a Morton and a member of the National Honor Society is as rare as finding a fat man at a salad bar. Barbara attended WHS when it was only a 3-year school, and at a period in our society when women's athletics did not receive the same level of priority as men's athletics. Barbara worked to better this situation as president of the Girls Intramural Council. The council was a school-based organization that was designed to promote spirit, sportsmanship, and awareness in girls' athletics. It also looked at ways to build additional athletic opportunities for girls. During Barbara's time on the council, a girls' club lacrosse program was put into place. I had the pleasure to sit and speak with Barbara recently, and it was clear to me that her pride and experience as a Winchester student athlete hold a special place in her heart. One of her earliest memories with athletics in Winchester was as the bat person for the Winchester Babe Ruth State Championship team that was coached by Sam Bellino and had Mike Bellino and Vandy French on the roster. She also recalls Hall of Famer and former Winchester coach Mickey Merlin as being a very positive influence on getting her involved in sports. Barbara continued her success after WHS as an undergrad at Sargent College. She also earned her first master's at Northeastern University. As a professional, Barbara worked for the Newton Public Schools as a physical education instructor and middle school athletic director. And in 1997, she was named the Elementary Physical Education Teacher of the Year, as well as the Person of the Year in Newton. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming who Mr. Bob Newtile described as, quote, the best athlete of her generation, male or female, end of quote, to the 2011 Hall of Fame class, Miss Barbara Morton.
I'm Jan Dolan, a member of the Hall of Fame Committee. Thank you for coming to this annual event. It was my privilege to teach and coach 2 of tonight's inductees. You've met Barbara Morton, class of 1965, and I have the honor of introducing Kathy Levinson, class of 1973. On that September day in 1970 at Ginn Field, when I met the candidates for the field hockey team, how would I have ever guessed that the little one they called Kathy would 4 years later set a record at Stanford University, the first freshman, male or female, to start on 3 varsity teams? And how would I have known that in Kathy's professional career, after 14 years at Charles Schwab, she would be senior vice president, and that in 1996, Kathy would become president and COO of E-Trade? But this I do know. Kathy started her interscholastic career at Winchester High School playing varsity field hockey as a sophomore, which was almost unheard of. and she continued each season: basketball, tennis, for a total of 3 varsity teams for 3 years. And you can't do any better than that. Remember that in those days, Winchester High School was a 3-year school. Of those 9 teams Kathy played on, all had winning records. 3 were undefeated. 3 were Middlesex League champions. Kathy was the co-captain of the 1972 field hockey team. In each sport, Kathy was outstanding. In field hockey, she played a position that was expected to score, and score she did. She had a dead-eye shot, made pinpoint passes, and never, ever, ever stopped running. In basketball, all 5 feet 1 of her was a threat. Her ability to move the ball with Cousy-like brilliance, maybe I should say Rondo-like brilliance, and she had a shot from the outside that only did one thing: swish. It's too bad that Kathy missed out on the 3-point rule. Most of her shots were from that distance. In tennis, she played singles and wore out her opponent with steady, heady play. She got to each ball, and her return was a threat to her opponent. In each of these sports, Kathy seemed to understand what was going to happen before it did. Call it reading the field, or anticipation, or game sense, Kathy was one of the best I have ever witnessed. I was fascinated with the letters of nomination sent by Kathy's teammates. They cited that Kathy was the spark plug of the team, the standard setter, the ultimate team player, the player who did not know how to give up. I'd like to think that Kathy's successes at Stanford and in the business world, and her continued pursuit of athletic competition, case in point, in 2009, she won the bronze medal in the National Senior Games racquetball competition. I'd like to think that all of these are a continuation of her work ethic, which we witnessed at Winchester High School. Not only a superb, talented athlete and leader, but an outstanding student, choosing only AP classes, and, in her spare time, playing in the Greater Boston Youth Orchestra. I guess my lasting image of this extraordinary woman is the day she was hit in the face during field hockey practice. Those days, there was no Donna Gildersleeve to come to our rescue. I forget the details, but I sure knew it was serious. The next day, we were scheduled to play a traditional rival. And that morning before school, who appears in front of me but Kathy? In one hand, she had a football helmet, and in the other hand, she had a note from the doctor, and it said, "She's got a broken nose, but if she wears the helmet, she can play." And play she did. Today, Kathy lives in Palo Alto, California, with her wife Naomi and daughters Reed and Parker. She is an organizational strategist, a philanthropist, investor, and activist. Kathy contributes powerfully to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender civil rights and the rights of women, Jews, and other disenfranchised groups. She does this through her community service work and the support of the Lesbian Equity Foundation, which she founded. It is my pleasure to present to you, for induction to the Winchester High School Hall of Fame, Kathy Levinson, a member of the fantastic class of 1970.
Hi, my name is Chris Scanlon. I first met Kim Donlin when she was a young student at Mystic Elementary School. She was tagging along with her older brother Joe, who was visiting me as his new 6th grade teacher back in the mid-70s. 2 years later, I became Kim's new teacher at Mystic School, along with her future varsity soccer teammate and fellow Hall of Famer Maria Montori. As her 5th grade and 6th grade teacher, I had the pleasure of teaching Kim Donlin for 2 years at Mystic School. I got to know Kim fairly well. She was a conscientious student, a well-rounded person, and a very good athlete. She was the only girl who could compete with Maria Montori in all the schoolyard games the kids played back in those days. As a matter of fact, Kim and Maria would often team up to beat any boy team who challenged them at anything. In 1980, Kim entered Winchester High School as a 10th grader. She, Maria, and Paula Papastathis were the only 3 10th graders who made the varsity soccer team that fall. Kim immediately became a starting forward for our team. She started as a forward for 3 varsity seasons and never missed a game. She was a speedy, skillful, and tenacious attacker. She never gave up on any physical challenge. She created many scoring opportunities for herself because of her guile and determination. Kim scored many important goals in those 3 years to help her team win 3 undefeated Middlesex League championships. And along with her fellow Hall of Fame teammates, Maria Montori, Paula Russo, and Michelle Powers, Kim helped to win the first state tournament championship for the Winchester girls varsity soccer team in 1982 with an undefeated season. During her 3 varsity soccer seasons, Kim was honored twice as a Middlesex League All-Star, and in her senior year, she was named a Globe All-Scholastic. As a senior, Kim led the Middlesex League in scoring with 41 goals. Kim Donlin was also an excellent basketball player in high school. As a 3-year starter, Kim averaged 13 points and 7.5 assists per game. Kim moved on to Plymouth State College after high school. She led her soccer team in scoring her junior and senior years, and instead of playing basketball in college, Kim chose to swim for Plymouth State. Her swimming ability would pay off in her future. After college, Kim's love of sports, competitions, and fitness continued. She became actively involved in triathlons. She has already completed in 30 triathlons in her life. She is presently preparing to compete in the CrossFit Games in Los Angeles this summer. Contestants from all over the world will compete in this event. Soon, Kim will be opening a CrossFit facility in Del Mar, California, and will be training future CrossFit championships. In my opinion, Kim is presently the fittest Winchester Hall of Fame inductee of 2011. Congratulations, Kim.
Hi, I'm Dominic DiVincenzo, Winchester High School class of 1985, and it is a great honor to present to you 2011 Hall of Fame inductee Joseph Lawrence. Joe was a varsity member of the Winchester High School wrestling team from 1982 to 1985, 3 times earning a varsity letter and 2 times selected as team captain, which is worth noting if you've ever been upstairs in the Winchester High School wrestling room. Up there you'll see boards of accomplishments from the past 30 years of Winchester High School wrestling. One such board lists the names of 91 individuals that served these teams as captain. Only 7 names appear twice. Joe Lawrence is the first of these 7 names. Joe was a stellar wrestler. His senior year had only 1 loss in dual meet competition and was 2nd place in the Division I state tournament, the North Sectional tournament, the Middlesex League tournament, as well as champion of the Springfield Invitational tournament. The remarkable thing is that each of these losses came at the hands of just one opponent. Unfortunately for Joe, the New England champion and one of the top wrestlers in the country at 147 pounds in 1985 happened to live in neighboring Melrose. Therefore, Joe would have the opportunity to wrestle against Melrose's John Gautreaux many times in that one season. It is not so remarkable that Joe was John's toughest opponent all year, or that Joe would get closer to winning each subsequent time that they met. What was remarkable, however, was that Joe, going against the odds, chose to wrestle against this almost unbeatable opponent. This was a decision of an unselfish team captain that continually and consistently put the needs of the team and opportunities for his teammates ahead of his own glory. In wrestling, there are many weight classes, and Joe was talented enough to wrestle varsity at several different weights, thus avoiding this challenging opponent. But with the best interest of the team in mind, Joe suited up for battle time after time, beating all opponents until the championship match of almost every tournament in Massachusetts. After each match, Joe would work to improve. He would further push his physical limits, learn new moves, improve his cardiovascular conditioning, and refine his technique. His dedication and determination inspired and motivated the entire team. Joe truly led by example. He asked nothing of the team he himself was not already doing, and he continued to lead this squad into battle and see the team return victorious time after time. In 1985, he captained the team to an undefeated season, which won the Middlesex League and sectional titles, as well as a 2nd place finish in both the state and New England tournaments. These are the highest finishes in each of these tournaments any Winchester wrestling team had up to that point, and are still the highest in Division I state tournament and New England tournaments. There's little doubt that personal and team accomplishments on the mat warrant Joe's induction into the Hall of Fame. But what I believe separates Joe from anyone else is that Joe Lawrence accomplished all this without something that most Winchester High School athletes take for granted: the presence of parents. At 17 years old, this young man lived alone. Dealing with all that any high school boy deals with, Joe also had to figure out how to get himself to and through high school, pay bills, maintain a home, care for a troubled sibling, and somehow lead 30 wrestlers to an undefeated championship season. As one of these privileged individuals to follow Joe Lawrence into battle, I can attest to the dedication this amazing individual gave to the Winchester High School wrestling team. By my humble estimation, there is no wrestler, past or present, more deserving of this honor than Joe Lawrence, as his athletic accomplishments, as well as his leadership, determination, sacrifice, and unselfishness are second to none.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to introduce my close friend and former doubles partner, Paul Shagru, into the Winchester High School Athletic Hall of Fame. In a town well known for its tennis, Paul's accomplishments as both a player and coach are unparalleled. He's been a state champion as a player, and in 4 years of coaching at Winchester High, his teams have won 3 Division II state championships. He has distinguished himself in both singles and doubles, and he remains a dominant player in town. Playing in team matches for the high school between 1982 and 1985, Paul posted an 81-8 record and went undefeated as a sophomore and senior. His wins helped propel the team during those years to an 83-6 record, 4 Middlesex League championships or co-championships, and appearances in 2 Division I state finals. Playing in the state individual tournament against the best players in Massachusetts, Paul amassed an impressive 18-3 record. In 1983, he and I won the state doubles title, and we are the last boys doubles team from the high school to accomplish that feat. It was a season to remember. Together we went 28-0, were named to the Boston Globe All-Scholastic team, and shared Daily Times Middlesex League Boys Tennis Player of the Year honors. Paul was only a sophomore that year. In his junior and senior year, he moved up the depth chart and played singles exclusively, but he continued to rack up wins and honors. He was named to the Middlesex League All-Star team both years, and in his senior year as captain, he was named Daily Times Middlesex League Boys Tennis Player of the Year for a second time, although this time the honor was his and his alone. He also won the Ken II Memorial Award that year for sportsmanship. 26 years after graduating from high school, Paul is still a force on the court, having won the Winchester Men's Doubles Championship every time he's entered the fall tournament, 7 times to be exact, and with 3 different partners. As a coach, Paul has continued his winning ways. In 4 years of coaching either Winchester boys or girls tennis, his teams have gone 86-5 overall, won 3 Middlesex League titles and 3 Division II state titles. His combined record playing for the high school or coaching its teams is an amazing 169-11, a 94% winning percentage. What accounts for this consistent record of achievement? As a player, he has a terrific all-court game, great touch at net, a serve that seemed to get harder as he got older, and a very tough-to-handle topspin backhand. He's smart and fast, and in doubles he adapts to the styles of different partners. But it's his mental toughness and will to win that I think are his greatest assets. When he steps on the court, he has a quiet confidence that he has a good chance to win every match he plays. He's consistent, never gives up on points, and never beats himself. And he's tough. I know that for a fact because in '83, when I would hit my notoriously weak second serve, Paul would stand his ground at net, ready to deal with whatever blast came his way. In the state doubles final that year, we faced a team from Duxbury, 2 guys that were older, bigger, who hit harder, and probably thought they might win for those reasons. But Paul and I made the shots we were supposed to make, and a few that we probably had no business making. We went on the offensive when opportunities arose, scrambled when necessary, and managed to win in straight sets. It remains one of my fondest memories, and I thank Paul for helping to make it happen. As a coach, 3 years with the boys team, and now in his 2nd year with the girls, he effectively imparts his knowledge of the game and draws on leadership and management skills developed as a former U.S. naval officer. The town is fortunate that Paul makes the time to coach and give back to the community. Paul's contributions to the Winchester High School tennis program as a player and coach are unmatched. In many ways, he's been the face of Winchester tennis in general for the last 30 or so years. A little-known fact is that he even worked as the supervisor at the Packard Town Courts during college. His induction tonight is well-deserved, and the honors keep coming. As his wife Paula, formerly Paula Russo, is a previous inductee, they become the first husband and wife team to be inducted separately for their illustrious careers. Congratulations, partner. Thanks for the memories and for all that you have done and still do for Winchester tennis.